How's everybody? I hope everybody's having a good time celebrating our service for the Lord. Um, I have prepared this message for people tonight, and just as every time natatayo ako dito, lagi akong kinakabog. It's hard to speak in front because you have to be prepared. But anyhow, let me start by saying this phrase that I have heard long time ago. It says, anyone can give up. Anyone can give up. It's the easiest thing to do in this world. But to hold on together when everyone else would understand if we fall apart, that is a true strength. Sabi nila, pag tayo madali daw mag-give up, it's easy to give up, right? But when you can put yourself together or put yourself in such a way that you would not fall apart, even though people would understand when you fall, that's the measure of a true strength. Diba? Pagka yung maraming chaos pero you still, firm, yun yung true strength. One of the greatest challenges and somewhat sad reality of how we choose our lives is the fact that in some degree, we are products of how people view us and feel about us. Diba? Yung nakalulungkot kasi yung parang karamihan sa atin, parang ang measurement ng buhay based doon sa pagtingin ng ibang tao sa atin. Diba? Parang kung paano ako tinitingnan ng ibang tao, parang yun yung measurement ng kanyang person or personality. And the problem is, this has caused to rise of depression, anxiety, and in some extreme cases, maraming nagsisuicide. Why? Pero magandang question yun. Bakit nga ba maraming nade-depress, maraming anxiety, and maraming nagsusuicide? Because many of us cannot cope with when other people either talk negatively about us or do not value us as a person. We all want someone to care about us and like us because we find value and purpose in ourselves when those around us validate the context of our existence. Kumbaga sa pagkatao, lagi natin tinitignan yung pagkatao natin based doon kung paano tayo tinitignan ng mga ibang tao. Diba? We value the things that people says about us. When they talk negatively, we felt bad. When they when they talk good things about us, we feel good. Diba? We feel good when others tell us, magaling na kumanta, sister. Diba? Parang masarap yun, diba? Masarap. We feel good when other people tell us, na-bless ako sa sinabi mo. Diba? We feel good when others tell us, wow, your dress really fits you. Bagay sa'yo. Pag sinabihan ka, diba? We feel good when others tell us, ang sarap naman ng luto mo. Diba? So, basically what I'm trying to point out is, we base our feeling good from what other people will say. Diba? Which is true in some degree, right? And so, we function and make decisions and based upon the perception of others. Doon tayo nagpa-function kadalasan. Diba? We do things not to please ourselves, but to please the people around us. And that is one thing that we will discuss later on. And come to think of it, this only causes us great headaches, heartaches, and needless stress. Diba? When we try to do things to get approval from somebody, right? Nakaka-stress yun. Yung bang, ano kaya susuot ko para matuwa sila sa akin? Mapogihan sila sa akin. Diba? Nakaka-stress na mag-isip. Ano kaya ang sasabihin ko para matuwa sila sa akin? What will I say? So that they would feel good about me. So it provides us a recipe sabi nga nila, to live a futile life. No, parang wala kang, when you say futile, what does it mean in Tagalog? Empty, di ba? Parang you feel empty. Pagka ganun yung mindset mo lagi. When you do things to please other people. If we did not know, then it's time for us to realize and woke up. People will tell you one thing today, and then something else tomorrow. Nagbabago. And the most disturbing thing is that the only thing constant in this world, ang isang bagay lang na constant in this world is what? Change. That's true. No matter we think we know someone, the truth is we really don't know. Akala natin, kilala natin yung taong yan, pero sa totoo, no. There are times that he will say something today, and tomorrow he will say different. Sooner or later, we all face something or some challenge in the life, and we turn around to find someone we thought cared to stand by us, or even just give us a word of encouragement. And what happened is it comes crashing down around us because we now realize we have no one and we are alone. Ang yun ang nakalulungkot eh. Minsan we put some expectation to people and eventually we found ourselves alone. And this is the question that pervades our lives. What do we do when we have no one to stand with us or encourage us when we are distressed? Ito yung sasagutin natin ngayong gabi ito. Ano yung pwede natin gawin when we feel alone and we feel distressed? Marami ba sa atin dito nadi-distress? Nadi-discourage? Marami ba sa atin dito discouraged? Alam ko yung iba, mukhang discouraged. Pero, I mean, some way or the other, minsan nadi-discourage tayo. But that is the thing that we will discuss for tonight. And the topic that I have chosen for tonight is when troubles come. When troubles come. The objective of our message is for us to understand the idea of how we can encourage ourselves to the Lord and the ways we can apply them in our lives. So let's come to the Lord in prayer first. Our Heavenly Father, we would like to thank you for this time that we could gather here and study your word. We pray, O Lord, that you be glorified and you be put in the center of our midst, Lord God. And in every word that would come out from my mouth, Lord, may be acceptable unto you. Use me, Lord God, only as a channel of your blessing, and may you be the one to be uplifted and cover me, Lord God, with your precious blood. All these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So going back to my question, what do we do then when we have no one to stand with us or encourage us when we are distressed? Anong daw ang gagawin natin? Because if we cannot answer that question, then many of us will find ourselves between a rock and a hard place, or there may be few of us who is there already. Maaaring iba sa atin dito na nandun sa stage na nadi-discourage. Diba? We are struggling because the people who we thought we had our back really never had us at all. Kumbaga sana iba, akala natin yung mga taong sumusuport sa atin, pero ang totoo, hindi naman pala. Kaya tayo nadi-discourage. So, sabi nga nila, in these critical moments of this world's history, we have to learn to encourage ourselves. Kailangan matutunan natin encourage yung sarili natin in the Lord. For not only He is our best friend we can ever have, but when everyone else forsakes us and let us down, He's the only one we can rely on. I want us to come to that point that we can testify how much we can trust Him. Gusto ko, my prayer, at the end of this message, we can come to that point that we can truly say we can trust Him. And for our text, I would like to invite everybody to stand up to give reverence to the reading of God's Word. If you have your Bible with you, I'd like to invite everyone to open it in the book of 1 Samuel. We We will read chapter 30, verses 1 to 8. This will be our main text for today. And let me read it on 1 Samuel chapter 30, 30. Yeah, verses 1 to 8. Can I, 1 Samuel chapter 30, verses 1 to 8. Can I ask Brother Ben, if you can read it in front? Yeah.
First Samuel chapter 30, verses 1 to 8. And it came to pass, when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south, and Ziklag, and smitten Ziklag, and burnt it with fire, and had taken the women captives that were therein. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away, and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives, and their sons, and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept, until they had no more power to weep. And David's two wives were taken captives, Ahinoam the Jezreelites, and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought hither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all.
Thank you, Brother Ben. You may sit down. You know what? As I was reading this book of First Samuel, I came to this verse, and I was enlightened by the Lord. But before we get started, let me give you a background first of where this text came about. Kailan at saan nga ba nangyari yung mga bagay nito? Where does this thing happen yung binasa natin? And the question is, sino ba si David? Are we familiar with David? Is everybody familiar with King David? Not my son, but the historical David in the Bible. But as a background, let me give you his life story. David is from the Hebrew word pronounced David, meaning beloved. Yun yung meaning ng kanyang pangalan. He's one of the best-known people of all the scriptures. You know what? When I was trying to study this book of 1 Samuel, to be honest with you, the only thing that I know about King David, he was the king of Israel, and that's it. But let me share you what I have found out. So David was a tribe of Judah and is a direct physical ancestor of the Lord Jesus Christ. Kalahi siya ng Panginoong Jesus. May ancestor siya. Matatagpuan natin yan sa Matthew chapter 1, verse 1 to 17. David was born about 1040 BC and the youngest son of Jesse of Bethlehem. Little is recorded of David's parent. Jesse was apparently a modest man, and there is no record of David's mother's name. Hindi naman na-record yung pangalan ng nanay ni David. Pero si Jesse, yung father ni David, is just a middle-class man. David's in appearance is known to be is not known in great detail. Hindi masyadong ni-describe yung appearance ni David. However, we know that he was described as handsome, had red hair, and was relatively short in stature. Hindi siya ganun kataasan. Pero ang buhok daw niya, kulay-pula. So you could imagine how David looks like. David was a shepherd, which out of necessity at that time taught him fighting skills. Nung shepherd siya, doon siya natutunan mag-fight. Kasi he needs to defend the sheep among like lions and bears. So doon siya natutunan mag-slingshot. And during that time when he was doing shepherding, that's the time he learned how to play the harp and the flute. And after, if I remember it right, I did share with you, yung story ni Eli. Remember, Eli yung priest, tapos yung may dalawang anak. Tapos, ang nangyari, yung dalawang anak, makasalanan sila, namatay. Tapos, ang sumunod si Solomon, di ba? And then, sumunod later on, di ba, nag-aaway yung Philistines, and the Israelites were fighting. And then, it came about when David was introduced in 1 Samuel chapter 13, after God rejected the foolish Saul. Remember, after nung namatay si Eli, yung mga taga-Israel, they were asking for a king. Remember? They were asking for a king, and the king that they God put for the Israelites, si Saul. Remember si Saul? Kasi nung nag-aaway yung Philistine Israelites, namatay nga si Eli, ang sabi nila kay Solomon, bigyan mo kami ng king. And yun nga, si Saul. And after God rejected the foolish and corrupt Saul, Israel's first king, he sent Samuel to Bethlehem to anoint David as a successor. Siya yung pumalit kay Saul. Si David ang pumalit kay Saul. The transition was not, it's gradual in nature. David returned to caring for the sheep. But in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 13, the Spirit of the Lord came upon to David. And in verse 14, the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul. So I think everybody knows yung si Saul, di ba? Siya yung first king ng Israelites, pero after that, naging corrupt siya. Naging corrupt si Saul, so ang iparit sa kanya si David. David served King Saul from time to time as a musician and an armor bearer. It's quite certain that Saul did not yet know that his young harp player would soon take his place. Hindi alam ni Saul na ito pa lang si David ang papalit sa kanya. If he had only known, he would have killed him. Kung alam lang ni Saul na this young boy David would replace me, he might have killed him early then. Because eventually, nung nalaman na ni Saul na si David ang papalit sa kanya, hinanting niya si David. Then parang one of the most famous incident in the Bible, remember David and Goliath? You could find that in 1 Samuel chapter 17. We all know that David defeated Goliath, and then right after David defeated Goliath, he became famous, he became popular. Nung naging popular si David, yun naman yung famous naman ni Saul. So yung mga tao, parang they were so, focused to David, and nagselos ngayon si Saul. He became jealous. And that's the time he started, to plan to kill David. So alam natin yung story. So from then on, Saul wanted David killed and personally made number of attempts. Ilang beses sinubukan. There are so many times that Saul tried and planned to attempt to kill David. And sumatutala nangyari, what happens is, in order to escape yung pagpatay ni Saul sa kanya, ang ginawa ni David, he joined the opposite. He joined who? The Philistine. Diba? So, ang sistema, before, he used to be fighting against the Philistine. Now, he joined the Philistine for the primary reason of escaping King Saul. And when Saul discovered David's whereabouts, David fled again, and he went to Nob in 1 Samuel chapter 21, and this is where he met Samuel. Kilala naman natin si Prophet Samuel. Siya isa sa mga parang high priest. At doon nga sinulat ni David yung Book of Psalms. So, in the meantime, upon the order of Saul, ang nangyari, pinapatay ni Saul yung mga 85 priests. May pinapatay si Saul. Ganun kasama si Saul. Dahil yung pinapatay niya yung mga priest na nag-alaga kay David. So, pinapatay niya yun. So, kaya nung nalaman ni David yun, naisip niya, you know what, para matigil na itong kaguluhan na to, pupunta na lang ako sa Philistine para pagdating ko hindi na ako habulin ni King Saul. Yun nga yung ginawa ni David. That's what David did. He went to the Philistine and joined them. So, although David could have killed Saul many times, he never do that. Maraming chance, there are so many opportunities that David could have killed Saul. Kasi during the manhunt, nung hinahunting siya ni King Saul, may mga instances na nakakatulog si Saul sa mga bayan-bayan. At nung mga time na yun, yung pwede nang patayin ni David si Saul para matigil na, di ba? Pero hindi niya ginawa. Kasi ang reason ni Saul, ni David, inanon siya ng Panginoon at hayaan ko ang Panginoon ang mag-deal sa kanya. There was an instant ang ginawa ni David para ma-prove niya lang kay Saul na hindi kita papatayin. Ang ginawa niya, pinulit niya lang yung damit ni King Saul habang natutulog. Ang sabi niya, tingnan mo, pwede na kitang patayin, pero hindi pa kita pinatay. Kasi pinanoin ka ng Panginoon. Yun ang sabi ni David. So, basically, that what happened. And there was one instance na nung maglalaban na ulit yung Philistine tsaka Israelites, na-defeat na si Saul. Namatay si Saul, kasabay niyang namatay yung best friend ni David, si Jonathan. So, ang anak ni Saul, best friend o matalik na kaibigan ni David, si Jonathan. And there was an instance, dun nga sa binasa natin, yung sa text natin, bakit mo ba kinikwento natin? Kasi pupunta tayo dun sa situation, because we're going to that situation wherein when the Philistine found out David that he was a former troop of Saul, ang sabi ng mga prince dun sa king na tumutulong kay David, sabi nila, hindi ba yan si David na dating tauhan ni Saul? Sabi niya, pabalikin mo na yan, huwag mo siyang isama. Kasi kung magkagera tayo, baka maging pagulo lang yan. So, and there, in chapter 30, nung pabalik na si David, dun sa lugar na pinagpupuntahan niya, then he found out this. Let me read again yung text natin. Ito na yung natagpuan ni David. And it came to pass when David and his men were going back to Ziklag, kasi nga pinabalik siya, sabi nung mga taga-Pilistin, huwag ka sumama sa gera kasi pampagulo ka eh. Hindi ka namin malaman kung sa amin ka o sa kaaway ka eh. Yun ang sabi niya, yun ang sabi ng mga prince. Bumalik ka na lang doon. So bumalik nga siya. Kaya lang, pagbalik ni David to that city of Ziklag on the third day, what did he found out? He found out that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag and smitten Ziklag and burned it with fire. Yung tinitira ni David, yung pinagpupuntahan ni David, nung binalikan niya yun, ang pagdating niya, anong nangyari? Sinunog ng mga kaaway. Sino itong mga kaaway ito? Ito yung mga ini-invade ni David. So, nung nalaman nila na umalis si David, pinuntahan mo kaaway, pinagsusunog, kinaptive, pati yung asawa niyang dalawa. During that time, it was allowed. Yung dalawang asawa. So, sabi sa verse 2, and he had taken women captives, and that therein they slew not only their great, small, but carried them away and went on their way. So David and his men, when they came to that city, nung dumating sila sa city na yun, behold, it was burned with what? With fire. And their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. So pagbalik nila dun, sunog. Tapos walang tao. Kinuha lahat yung mga tauhan nila, yung mga asawa ng mga tauhan ni David. So, then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice, and what did they do? They wept until they had no more power to weep. Sa Tagalog ng wept, yung nanamis. Nanamis, ang Tagalog. Nalungkot. They felt sad. They felt whatever it is, basta nalungkot sila. And then in verse 5, and then David's two wives were taken captive, Ahinoam the Jezreelite and Abigail the wife of Nabal and Carmel. Si Abigail, siya yung dating asawa ni Nabal. Pero si Nabal, namatay siya, kaya kinuha na lang siya ni David. Kaya dalawa asawa ni David. No? But we're not going to that story. And then David was greatly distressed for the people's sake of stoning him. You know, ang nakalulungkot dito, ang first reaction nila, nalungkot sila. Pero eventually, ang nangyayari, eventually, nung nalulungkot na sila, yung mga tao naghahanap na ng sisi. They are trying to find someone to blame for that problem. And ang nangyayari, they want to stone him. People would like to, batuhin na siya, sabi gano'n. Because the soul of the people was grieved, every man for his son, for his daughter. Pero ito yung key verse natin. You know what? Kung meron lang kayong bagay na matatandaan sa akin ngayong gabi ito, this is one thing that I would like you to remember. Yung sinabi niya sa verse 6, but David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Let me repeat. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Yun yung ginawa ni David. You know, we are only assessing the historical background of the narrative story of David. But I think something we need to understand in this part is that, you know, before that thing happened, the king was trying not to hurt David, but to kill him. And like what I was saying a while ago, David has the ideal chance of killing Saul, but he provided the vengeance to the Lord, right? And here's the word for us today. Ito yung gusto kong iwan sa'yo. Babalikan natin yung story na nangyari, pero before we go there, I want to leave these two things again sa inyo. Let us stop trying to kill men and women of God, even when they do not act right. Anong ibig sabihin ba that? Remember, si David has the chance to kill King Saul. But he refused to kill King Saul. Alam naman natin si Saul, he was an anointed person of the Lord God. Kung papatayin ni David si King Saul, there are two things na posibleng mangyari. First is, two wrongs will not make evil right. Ibig sabihin, you cannot correct a mistake by committing another mistake. Diba? So, kung papatayin ni David si Saul, what does it gonna bring him? Diba? So, tooth for a tooth, eye for an eye. Another thing is, tayong mga Christian, our job is not to destroy people's ministry, but pray that God will intervene and restore order. Diba? So, if we see people, yung mga naglilingkod dito, that they are not doing right, or sometimes we see people in the ministry, but we know that they are doing something on the sideline. It is not our job to kill them. It is not our job to put them down, but rather to lift them up in our prayers. Diba? Kasi nagkakamali din naman sila eh. That's the same thing. Yun yung isang bagay na natutunan ko kay David. That's one thing that I've learned from David when I was studying this story. Gusto ko lang balikan yung I just wanted to go back to that incident that when they came back, ano yung nakita nila? Yung lugar nila nasunog, di ba? The truth of that text is that we need to understand that the Amalekites attacked when the women and children had no protection. They did not fight fair, but real dirty. Ibig ko sabihin, nung nagpunta yung mga Amalekites, di ba? Yun yung time na wala sila David. Remember, sasama nga sila David doon sa Palestine, di ba? sa war with it. So, anong significance nito sa buhay natin? What's the significance of this story in our modern day life? The significance is that we Christians walk and have this warfare with the devil. Diba? We walk in our Christian lives, pero ang kalaban natin is ang kaaway. And ang kaaway, pag umatake siya, when the enemy strikes us, he strikes us during the time that we are not guarded. Kagaya na nangyari sa kanila, di ba? They were attacked when there was no guard. And the thing is, ito pang gusto kong ma-realize natin. This one thing that we want to realize is the enemy attacks those people whom we love. Minsan, kung sino pa yun, di ba minsan, we wanted to say, sana ako na lang yung atakihin mo. Huwag na yung mga anak ko. Spare my little kids, or spare my loved ones, di ba? Pero ito yung scheme ng kaaway. The enemy is always trying to put us down by means of the people whom we love. Diba? Sila yung tinitira, kumbaga. When David and the men saw that they have lost their families, they wept. Diba? With much distress and bitterness because they not only cared but loved them deeply. On the contrary, and sad to say, in the context of our modern day church, when we lose a family, sa modern day church, when we lose a family, we do not weep with the deep sense of loss, just like David and the men. We talk negatively about them or put their business out there because we love to gossip, and sometimes we even celebrate when others fall because it makes us look good. Rather than, anong ibig mo sabihin ito? Di ba pag kami may nawawala naman sa church, nalulungkot din kami? Yeah, pag kami namamatay, nalulungkot tayo. Pero, di ba, we are family here, right? We are family here. When our youth are taken captive by drugs, do we say it's our loss? Nalulungkot ba tayo? Do we weep? When our young men are taken captive by joining gangs, nalulungkot ba tayo? Yung mga kabataan, di ba? Sa mga big Christian church, pag nakikita natin yung mga kabataan when they're getting involved in drugs and things like this, ganun ba yung sense of loss din natin, gaya nila? Remember, we are one family with God. Pero minsan, instead of, uy, alam mo, yan, nagda-drugs yan. Alam mo, na-found out namin, yan, hindi pala yan, nagnakaw pala siya sa trabaho. Instead of feeling lost, we capitalize on those things na para i-put them down, di ba? Ito yung sana yung maintindihan natin na pag kami nangyari within our family of church, we have to feel that same loss. Ganun yung naramdaman nila David sa ng mga tao niya. Nung pagdating nila, binurn yung city nila. When the enemy attacked their city, that's what they felt. When our young ladies are taken captive by abusive relationship, yung mga iba sa atin, pagka yung tinatake advantage yung mga kababaihan natin ng mga hindi mananampalataya. Nalulungkot ba tayo? When our wives have to live in shelter because they have been battered by an intoxicated husband, nalulungkot ba tayo? Do we feel distressed? When our members have live here because they have been talked about and mistreated for years, pag nababawasan ba yung quantity natin dito sa church, nalulungkot ba tayo? It's our loss. David was sowing what he reaped. You cannot expect the wage war or you do thing to someone and sooner or later they will not return it. Yung kumbaga sa ini-inherit ni David yung mga problema ito. Kasi yung previous chapters or yung previous days sa buhay ni David, wala siyang ginawa kundi mag-conquer ng mag-conquer. So, that's what's happening. He is sowing what he reaped. The Amalekites were sick and tired of being attacked by David. So, the first chance they got, they hit where it hurts. Remember, sooner or later, whatever we sow, we will reap. The men, when they realized how deep this loss, soon their tears of pain turned to anger. They blamed David. It was under his order that they went out to battle and left their families defenseless. And here it comes the sad part. Same men who had lead and been there through thick and thin now turn around in their anger. And the first revenge and declare, we should stone him. Diba? Sounds familiar? Pagka good time, magkakasama, pero pagka bad times na, mag-isa ka na lang. Diba? When in good times, we are buddy-buddy. But when troubles come, there are they. Nobody. Is it not amazing when things are going good for you as a leader, teacher, pastor, whatever your vocation may be, how those who claim to be your friends want to share the limelight of success and favor? Diba? Ganun naman talaga. Pagka yung nakikita na masaya ka, na you're doing good, they want to be friends with you. But when they see the bad things and things is happening worse, iniwanan ka na nila. And the truth, in those dark moments or low season, many times we find ourselves totally alone. Ito yung nakalulungkot, di ba? Yung sinasabi ko kanina na sa buhay ni David, di ba? Magkakasama tayo sa battle. Tapos nung nakita natin yung hardship, ngayon gusto niyo akong batuhin? When we were winning the victory of claiming other lands, we are celebrating. Now we've been defeated. You want to stone me? Yan ang nakalulungkot eh. Even in our church nowadays, di ba, may mga ganong situations. Kapag nakita natin yung kapatiran, nag-backslide. Di ba? Instead na tulungan natin siya, i-uplift natin siya. Pabayaan mo yan, backslider yan. Di ba? No, forget about him. He's a bad influence. Dapat wag ganun. We have to help them. And the good thing about David is, yung sinabi ko nga kanina, he encouraged himself with the Lord. He felt no one. He felt alone. Diba? And there are times in our life we felt alone. The same thing, diba? Yung mga people na ina-expect natin na tutulong sa atin, sila pa yung wala. Diba? And what do we need to do? Same thing what David encouraged himself with the Lord. Sabi ko nga, it is in those moments of our life and leadership that we realize how shallow some people really are. Because it is when things are at an all-time, when things are in low time, that true friends and real family come together. But like this man, instead of coming with words of encouragement, ang dala nila, bato. Diba? Imbis na i-encourage nila si David, no, David, we can recover them. Anong dala-dala nila? Bato. Babatuhin nila si David. Stone him because the youth are mess. Stone him because our marriage are falling apart. Stone him because our church is dying. Stone him because we want him to preach stuff to make us feel good, but he's not doing it. Stone him because we need someone to blame. Diba? Parang naghahanap na lang ng sisi. When things is not coming in order, stone him. Pag kami nangyayari sa church, sisihin natin si pastor. Pero huwag naman. Kasi kastunado yan. Mabuti naman ginagawa yan. You know, dyan naman tayo magaling, di ba? Yung magsisi, di ba minana natin yung kay Eva? Di ba si Eva, nung tira na siya, si Adan kasi. Di ba? Doon tayo. We are good in that. Stone him is what they wanted to do with David. To David, it is distress over his loss and their reaction. Hindi ko alam kung sino yung sa atin ang mas nawalan ng tao. Si David ba o yung iba sa atin dito na umaasa dun sa mga taong inaasahan natin. Mag-anak, kaibigan, pero hindi lang pala natin inaasahan natin. Sino ba ang nawalan? Sila? O yung iba sa atin dito? Check and evaluate yourself. Are we on that same situation? So ang sabi, ang lesson natin for tonight is encourage ourselves in the Lord. Now the question is, when are we weak? You know, let me go to a point that I'd like to mention tonight. Tatlong bagay lang yung gusto ko i-point out ngayon. The first one is, when we are weak, we are strong. Ang tanong ko nga, kailan ba tayo nagiging weak? When do we become stressed or discouraged? When do you feel that you are stressed or discouraged? Number one, same thing. I want you to write this down. Ilista nyo to kasi importante to. Kailan ba ako nagiging weak o na-stress? I think you could sympathize, everybody can sympathize with me on these things. Number one, when we feel alone. Diba? It's so low pagka nararamdaman mo mag-isa ka lang. Mag-isa lang ako sa Canada eh. Eh, ba't ka nagpunta ng Canada? Mag-isa ka lang pala, di ba? Okay, we become distressed when we feel weak. Pagka mahina tayo, that's number two. We are weak emotionally, physically, and mentally. Di ba? Totoo ba yung sinasabi ko? When we are weak, doon tayo malungkutin, doon tayo parang pakiramdam natin, sinakluban tayo ng mundo. Another thing, when do we get discouraged? Kailan tayo nadi-discouraged? Number three, when we are facing a problem. When we are facing a problem, we try to become more stressful. Diba? Nai-stress tayo. Puro problema, wala nang gawa, hindi puro problema. Number four, when we lack understanding. Same thing, di ba? Pagka yung hindi mo naiintindihan yung mga bagay-bagay, nai-stress ka. Yan yung isang bagay na natututunan ko. Pagka yung magpre-prepare ako ng message, hindi ko maintindihan, nai-stress ako. Kailangan maintindihan ko ito kasi natin nasa atin. Kailangan natin, di ba? Nakaka-stress yun pagka hindi mo alam yung mga bagay-bagay. Another thing, when we are uncertain. Di ba? You felt discouraged when you are uncertain. Hindi mo alam kung anong mangyayari bukas. Yun, di ba? Makakasimpatize din. Another thing, we felt stressed when we commit mistakes. Ako, nagkamali na naman ako. Di ba? Nai-stress ka dun eh. Marami sa atin pa naman dito, perfectionist. Ayaw natin yung nagkakamali. Di ba? Another thing, we felt discouraged when we feel insufficient, lacking, and powerless. Parang dito, wala kang magawa. Parang gusto kitang tulungan, pero wala akong pera ngayon. So, nai-stress ka rin at the same time, di ba? Di ba? Nai-stress tayo pag we want to help other people, but you know what? Gusto ko lang pera. Wala kayong aming allowance eh. That's another thing. Another thing, we get distressed or discouraged when things are not happening according to our plan. Ang plano ko, pagka ika-50 year ko dito sa Canada, may bahay na ako. Pero hanggang ngayon, mag-10 years na ako, wala pa rin akong bahay. Because, nai-stress tayo doon kasi there's pressure, di ba? When there is nothing happening. We felt discouraged when we lost something we dear or cherish. Ito, it's either material or personal. Pag kami nawala, when we lost. Same thing what happened to David, di ba? Na-captive yung wives niya, di ba? Yung mga tao dyan, yung family niya. So, they felt discouraged. Pero ang sabi nga natin, when I am weak, anong sabi ni Paul? Then I am strong. When I feel my utter weakness under the pressure of trial, then I am constrained to depend on the Lord and become infused with His strength. Alam, dito na masusubok yung dito natin ma-exercise yung spirit of faith. Diba? True faith and spiritual power have their foundation amidst the dust and ashes of self-abasement and self-distrust. Confidence in God began to revive in David when Ziklag was reduced to ashes. Yung nasunog na, diba? Doon bumalik yung confidence ni David. He was positive, diba? He doesn't look on the optimistic side, but he was optimistic, not the pessimistic side. The same thing is often occasioned in other by means of sudden and severe bereavement with wife and children. The failure to cherish plans and purpose na yung sinabi natin kanina, the loss of property through robbery by men, yung iba sa atin pag nanakawan, diba, nadi-discourage tayo. When there are some accidents, nadi-discourage tayo. When there is a breakdown in health, nadi-discourage tayo. Disappointment of long expectation and falling away of friends. Nadi-discourage tayo. Kung hindi niya tinupad yung promise niya, nadi-discourage tayo. David was left almost alone. The upbraiding of conscience for passing trouble is a powerful means of bringing sin to remembrance. The threatening danger and the presence of the king of terrors, the lack of wisdom and power to deliver from distress. Dalawang bagay lang naman yung pwedeng mangyari, yung posibleng mangyari when we realize and fully aware about our being helpless. Dalawang bagay lang. Number one, pagka nandun na tayo sa despair, sa distress or sa problem, we could either sink in despair or we could cast ourselves fully upon the Lord. Yung dalawang bagay lang na yun ang pwede mangyari, di ba? Pagka meron tayong chaos na kinakaharap. Malungkot ka, magmumukha habang buhay, o i-cast mo sa Panginoon. What did David choose? He chose to encourage himself to the Lord his God. Sana ganun din tayo. We never really know what are made of until we come to a season when we have no one to encourage us or help us in our situation. It is then we are either driven to He who is powerful or sink into our personal abyss of sorrow. So, kung lalapit ba tayo sa Panginoon na who is powerful, kung magbumukmuk na lang tayo sa ating sorrow. Ang sabi nga, this separates the real children from those who are constantly faith in to make it. Because it is one thing to encourage someone because it sounds good at the time. But it is another thing to learn to encourage yourself when you are in real deep mess. Sabi nga nila, this separates the man from the boys, and the ladies from the girl. Kailangan matutunan natin yung idea na i-encourage natin yung sarili natin. Kasi this proved us to be a real man. So, kailangan mag-mature tayo dun sa idea yun. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away all my childish things. For we, sabi nga sa 1 Corinthians, for we see now a glass darkly, but then face to face now I know in part that then shall I even as also I am known. So dapat dumarating din sa point na nagmamature na tayo. Instead na magmukmuk tayo, we focus on God's power and God's help. So, ang sabi ko nga kanina, when we are weak, we are strong. Second point, when we need help, help is available if we ask for it. Remember when David could not comfort himself because wala nga asawa niya, di ba? Sino magko-comfort siya? Wala yung children niya. And he comforted himself to the Lord. The thing that he thinks is that God is all sufficient. There are the hearts find where the heart is, he finds everyone supplied, every good thing's lodged, as God is all sufficient to furnish us with all necessaries. So infinite in power, wisdom, and goodness to help us against the evil feared, against all evil feared or felt. So God is all sufficient. Kaya niyang i-provide lahat ng bagay sa atin. Power, wisdom, goodness, and everything we need. God can provide. God is the source of our help. And as we listed those things that discouraged us a while ago, here are now some of the things that we can help us get encouraged. Kanina nilist natin yung mga nakaka-discourage, di ba? Kailan tayo na-discourage. Ngayon, pakinggan naman natin, ano yung mga bagay, ito yung objective natin eh. Yung mga bagay na pwede natin gawin to help ourselves get encouraged. Number one, so sa sinabi natin kanina, when we are alone, we are discouraged, di ba? So what's the antidote? The fellowship. Di ba? Fellowship with God and fellowship with Christians. Nalulungkot ka pala, mag-isa ka, eh, makipag-fellowship ka sa mga Christian para huwag kang malungkot. Di ba? When we feel weak, di ba sabi natin kanina, when we feel weak, we become distressed emotionally. So what are we going to do? Pray. Seek God, study His Word. Sabi natin, ang nakakadagdag sa discouragement is yung when you feel weak physically, right? Di ba pagka yung lulugo ka, parang mabigat yung pakaramdam mo, di ba? Parang nadi-discourage ka. Ano gagawin mo? E di mag-exercise ka. Di ba? Mag-exercise ka. Eat properly and rest. You know, if you want to be healthy, okay, listen to this, yung sa mga healthy conscious. If you want to be healthy, 3 things. Exercise, eat, and rest. Alisin mo yung rest, exercise, tsaka eat lang, hindi ka rin magiging healthy. Alisin mo yung rest, eat, tsaka exercise lang, hindi ka pa rin magiging healthy. Alisin mo yung rest, exercise, tsaka eat ka lang, hindi rin. Kailangan yung tatlo. Okay? So, when you feel weak, emotional, physically, mentally, when you are weak mentally, study. Mag-aaral kayo. Diba? Alam mo yung pag-aaral, academically, or theologically, or kahit anong pag-aaral, it helps. It helps. Nakakatulong yun para maging uplift kayo. Diba? Ay, ang galing-galing mo naman, dami mo alam. Diba? So, ma-uplift ka. Sabi nun, when we are facing problem, ano ang dapat natin gawin? Seek God's counsel. Be positive. Don't be negative. Diba? Huwag kayong maging pessimistic. Be optimistic. Choose the right battle. Diba? Pagka may problema sa bahay, nakikipag-away ka sa boyfriend mo, sa girlfriend mo, sa asawa mo, choose the right battle. Diba? Apply wisdom. Yun yung mga bagay na pwede natin gawin. Seek mo yung God's counsel. Maging positive ka, huwag kang maging negative. When we are lacking of understanding, we ask for God's wisdom. You know, study God's Word. Wisdom, not knowledge. Nalulungkot, maraming tao knowledgeable, but they don't have wisdom because they don't know how to apply that knowledge. Diba? Ang sabi dito, when we are uncertain, diba? Pagka hindi natin alam yung kinabukasan, na-discourage tayo, then what shall we do? Let's apply faith. Apply faith. When we commit a mistake, di ba, sabi natin, oh, nagkamali na naman ako, nadi-discourage ako. Ano ang solusyon? Eh, di wag mo nang gawin yung mistake na yun. Refrain from doing that same mistake, improve and practice. Di ba? Kung alam mo na pumapalpa ka dyan sa studies mo, eh di mag-aral ka, mag-practice ka, anong gagawin mo? Oh, hindi. Kalimutan mo na yan. Hindi na nakalulungkot eh, kasi marami, they're not doing anything about it. When we feel insufficient, lacking, and powerless, ano yung pwede natin gawin? Huwag kayong, gusto ko naman, pero kulang ako eh. Anong secret dito? Ang secret dito eh, give and give more. Diba? Wala na akong pera. No, give more. Because God, you cannot outgive God. Diba? You cannot outgive God. Probably not financially, but you could give, assistance through prayer and, counseling and things like that. Encouragement, comfort. Those are the things that you could give. Diba, ang sarap ng pakiramdam pag nakakatulong ka? Pagka yung kapatid mo, nabigyan mo ng word of encouragement, it uplifts you. Not only the person you uplift, but also yourself as well. Diba? When things are not happening according to your plan, sabi natin, nadi-discourage tayo. So anong gagawin natin? Ang gagawin natin, let's make a plan. Mag-set ka ng plan, look forward, focus on God, and achieve that plan. I remember yung tinuro ni Pastor last week, di ba? Yung running the race. Where do we focus? Kanino tayo magpo-focus? Sa Panginoon. Di ba? Kaya marami sa atin, hindi nangyayari yung pinaplano natin kasi yung foundation ng pinaplano natin hindi naka-base sa Panginoon. When there is nothing happening, ito siguro yung sa mga iba sa atin, ang tagal-tagal mo na nag-iipay, Lord, wala pa din. Ang sagot is, wait upon the Lord. Remember God's loving kindness. ba? Huwag kayong malungkot kung anong nangyayari. Because God has a perfect plan for each and every one of us. Diba? Look at the song that we sang a while ago, diba? And lastly, when we lost something we dear or cherish, either material or personal, the only thing that we can do to uplift ourselves is commit them unto the Lord. Nawala na eh. Yeah? Nawala na. Umanaw na or iniwan na tayo. Pero the good thing is, God is always there to uplift us. So, yun yung mga bagay na pwede natin gawin. The first point is, when we are weak, we are strong. Second point is, when we need help, there is always help. And the last point is when we are lost or at loss, in Jesus, we can recover it all. Remember in verse 8? Sabi dyan sa verse 8, and David inquired of the Lord, saying, Lord, shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover them all. Yun ang nakatutuwa sa Panginoon, di ba? Even despite of our lowest moment, pag inlapit mo sa Panginoon, tataas ka na. Tataas ka na. Lord, hirap na ako sa problema namin sa bahay. Lord, hirap na ako sa finances namin. Diba? Pero ang sabi ng Lord, just follow me. Just follow. Right? Because David has a good sense to only not encourage himself in the Lord, but also ask God to move on the situation. What was meant for evil turns out for good. By the help obtained of God, fear is removed, strength is renewed, and confidence inspired. After a brief delay of some untoward event by which faith is still further tested, a few days after, David's own people were about to stone him on ruins of Siklag. The royal crown was laid at his feet. Nanumbalik yung mga tao sa kanya. Sinamahan siya ulit na i-recover lahat ng mga bagay na. The same people who wants to stone him are the same people who join him again. Kasi nakita nila kay David kung yung optimistic heart niya para sa Panginoon. Siguro ganun din tayo, no? When we feel, ang gusto ko lang i-impart dun is, when we are sad and when we are in discouraged, pag nadi-discourage ka, nakaka-discourage ka rin sa iba. Pero when you feel encouraged, nakaka-encourage ka rin sa iba. Pag nakikita ko kumakanta yung mga encourage nila, di ba? Nakaka-encourage sila. Pero pagka nakita mo yung kakanta dito, lulug-lug. Siguro lulug-lug ka lang yung kakanta. Same thing, nakakahawa yung mga kapatid. They fought all night, then all morning, then after until the evening. Because when God says go for it, the battle is already won. Even there are more than us. And all that was lost was recovered that day because our God is faithful. David did not lose anything, but recovered everything and much more celebration. So, challenge and application. So we are today, right? Maybe some of us is in the middle of, in that same situation. Maybe some of us have lost some people or friends at the hand of the enemy. And we came here thinking it is what it is, and we feel defeated and broken. Siguro yung maanin ko sa atin dito, they have this discouragement, yung feeling of defeat and broken. I would like to stop here by letting you know that it is not over until God says it's over. What? Huwag niyong isipin na defeated na ako o talunan na ako. Hindi ka patalo hanggat hindi sinasabi ng Panginoon na talo ka. Hindi pa sinasabi ng Lord that the war is over until God says it is over. Go and fight for your children, sabi nga. They do not belong to bound in sin. They belong to God. So yung may mga anak sa atin dito na nalululong sa kung saan. Go fight for your spouse. Diba? I don't care how bad things look. You said until death do we part. So laging may solusyon. Huwag mo isipin na hopeless na yung situation namin. Go fight for your family members. If you have some family members who are involved in drugs and alcohol, there is always hope. Go fight for it. Go fight for your community. Break down the stronghold of despair by lifting up the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Huwag mo isipin, ganito na talaga sa Canada, bihira na yung nag-aaten ng church. No. No. Ang sabi ng Panginoon, sundin mo sila, i-recover natin sila. God can do that. God is still in the business of doing miracles. I'm almost done. Maybe some of us has just passed some discouragement. Maaaring iba sa atin nakaranas ng ilang discouragement. At maaaring iba sa atin, maybe they are still in that stage, na nandun ka sa middle of your crisis. Diba? Isang bagay lang yung gusto kong sabihin sa inyo. Lahat tayo dadanas ng discouragement. Dalawang bagay lang, ang sabi ko nga kanina, it's either we sink in sorrow or we cast ourselves in the Lord. The Lord has so many wonderful promises. He is all-sufficient. He is here for us to complete us and perfect us according to His will. He will never forsake us and leave us if we call upon His name. Let us recover our health because we are sick and tired of being told that we are unhealthy. Let us recover our pride because we are sick and tired of feeling sorry for myself over past mistake. Let us recover our vision because the Lord brought us here for a reason. Let us recover our peace because every trap the enemy has set will not work and cannot work. Let us recover our joy because this joy that we have, the world did not give it, and the world cannot take it away. When we are weak, we are strong. When we need help, help is always available from the Lord. When we are lost, God can provide and recover more than we can expect. Let's come to the Lord in prayer. Lord, we walk by faith and not by sight. You, our Lord, is our shepherd, and we shall not want. We understand that all things work together for good to them that love you, Lord. You make us lie down in green pasture. Peace you have given us in the days of our lives. Silver and gold we don't have, but we have Christ. The Lord prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies. Yes, you, Lord, is our light and our salvation. Whom shall we fear? Our Heavenly Father, we would like to thank you once again for that encouragement we received from you through the life of David. Truly, Lord, there are times that we pass with the stage of discouragement in our lives. Teach us, O Lord, to become like David, who despite of all the discouragement around him, he was able to encourage himself upon you, Lord. Forgive us, O Lord, when we sometimes get discouraged and we turn our back on you. Teach us to be more focused on you, to find our refuge in you, Lord God. And truly, Lord God, again, we commit to you our lives and to you alone. All this we pray.